Assalamualaikum and good morning to all participants and welcome to School of the Arts, ICAP Talks. Today we are lucky to have Mr. Azlan Osman. Assalamualaikum and very good morning to you. And to all participants, for your information, Mr. Azlan is our industry advisory panel from Proton. Okay, let me just briefly introduce you. Mr. Azlan Osman has vast experience in automotive industry and has been more than 23 years as chief designer in Proton R&D. His first degree was industrial design from UiTM and obtained his master degree in design technology also from UiTM. But later in the year 2017, he was awarded an executive master management from Asia Metropolitan University. Okay, so welcome, Mr. Azlan. How are you today? Hope you're fine. Yeah. So it has been all the hard work that bring you to this level of achievement with all the international experiences and contribution to what we know Proton is now. So to begin this session, maybe you could share some of experiences and as an automotive designer to the participant here, mostly the product design student and lecturers. There are things like how you see the potential of the young designers here in Malaysia today, or perhaps you have something to present to us. And after that, maybe there are questions that the participant would like to please write down in the chat area, yeah, participant. Okay, I will read it for you. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, now I hand it over to Mr. Azlan. Silakan.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Very good morning, everyone. Thank you so much to ICAP, USM especially, to invite me this morning to share a little bit about what I do, and maybe you can grab some tips along the way that can prove useful in your studies or in your work. Actually, I like this to be an engaging session, actually, rather than having questions at the very end. I'm actually open if you have things that you want to ask. Just maybe put up your hand or write in the chat box, and I'll be more than happy to engage with you. So I think engagement is very important, no matter what level you're in. I think it really helps, yeah, to get message and knowledge across. For this session also, I'll be doing it bilingual. I'll try my best to do it bilingual, ya. Saya akan cuba untuk berbicara dalam dua bahasa Malaysia dan juga bahasa Inggeris. Jadi kalau ada soalan bahasa Malaysia pun boleh tanya, ya. But predominantly, I will speak in English because I think that's the lingua franca, and it's the easiest way for me to describe. Paling mudah untuk saya bercerita lah, sebab dalam profession ni biasanya kita cakap bahasa Inggeris lah. So, but yeah, any kind of questions you may have, feel free. I would prefer to have that, actually. So now I can see there's about 93 participants, 94 now, and I'm sure there are many of you out there who want to know more, not just about what I'm talking about, maybe about me. So I'm really open. So if you have anything you want to know about, feel everyone, students as well. Okay. So as Dr. Zuhairi mentioned earlier, my name is Azlan, and I am a designer by profession. I'm locally educated, nothing special about that, but I have been in the industry for a very long time. So I am a true blue designer, yeah, although my responsibilities over the years have changed. I major in automotive design. That means I spend 99% of my time doing cars and things related to cars. But I also delve into many aspects of design, especially in design education. Yeah, I have a very strong passion in academics and also leadership. I believe that the new generation, you guys, are the grassroots that will bring society to the next level, to the future. That's why I like to spend time to share to the new generation so that we don't lose the wisdom, we don't lose the knowledge of the craft. And what is the craft? In this particular session, it's about design. Now, the title is Industrial Design by Chance or by Design. To go deeper into that, it's about transformation in design. My presentation today is actually divided into 3. Yeah, but most probably we can cover maybe the first 2. The third option depends on the time that we have. Hopefully, we have time to go to the third part. Yeah, so the first part is about transformation through design. Yeah, the second part is about how to bridge academic and industry, because I'm quite certain most of you here will be moving into industry at some point. Yeah, so I think that's very important to understand design and make it the bridge between academics and industry. Then the third one, hopefully we have time for, it's just some tips from the over 23 years that I've been in this business that may be useful to you going forwards. So yeah, any questions, feel free to shoot. I'm gonna try my best to share my screen now. Dr. Zuhairi, can I start sharing?
Okay, no problem.
Or is there anything that of interest to you and in your mind from what I've just mentioned just now that you think I should focus on or share a bit more? I believe my PowerPoint is on screen. Dr. Zuhairi, is everything okay on the screen?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay,
No problem.
okay, good. So as I said, the first part of this is about transformation within the design sphere. I think this is important because the way that the business is going right now, the way design is moving right now, we cannot sit still and be happy with what we have and expect it to stay that way for a long time. The world actually is changing so fast and so quickly these days that you have to be able to transform yourself quite frequently to stay relevant. Being relevant is extremely important in this day and age. Yeah? So let me begin. So design by nature is something that requires insights. Yeah. But it's always good to look to the past to move forwards to the future. To look at one of the elements is products and brands. You can get a lot of insights by looking at products and brands. Yeah? Apple is a good example. I'm sure many of you are using Apple products, right? Whether it's the iPhone, whether it's the Macintosh or whatever. I've been using the Macintosh from the very beginning. So, you know, I'm a stalwart Apple user. Got the iPhone right here. And they weren't always successful. There was a time when they were in a very pole position. Yeah, like this Power Macintosh that they launched back in the 80s. Yeah, it was a pizza box computer, very gray, nothing that different from the IBMs or the other Windows machines. It was an effort to be like everyone else, to generate sales. But then they thought about something different. Steve Jobs came back to Apple and decided that they needed to be different and to have the spirit back of what to represent what Apple was. They needed to differentiate themselves. So they launched the iMac, and it was like nothing that anyone has ever seen. I don't know how many of you remember the first edition of the iMac. It was very colorful and it was extremely unusual. Yeah. However, it generated a lot of buzz and interest back into the brand. Now, from that point, they started to change themselves. They started to put customer first and also at the same time look towards the future and gave the customer what they never knew they wanted. So out came the iPod, out came the new iMacs and the iPhone, when at the time, Nokia was the #1 brand when it came to mobile phones. I hope you remember that. And when Apple launched their phones, no one expected it. And it was an instant hit. But look at how design has changed from the past to where they're going. A similar identity, a family look, and a certain usability about it that makes you want to use the brand. I remember distinctively Steve Jobs saying that he doesn't believe in surveys because you can't tell the customer what they want when they don't know what they want. It's very interesting insights, really, to lead the market. Let me give you another example. Dyson. I'm sure a lot of you know this brand, especially our friends in the South, that factory over in Johor and Singapore. I've also been a long-time user of Dyson. They came up with this vacuum cleaners, right? But then they use design to package a vacuum cleaner, or Hoover, they call it in the UK, to be something very enticing, very nice to look at. And the experience of owning and the performance of it is unrivaled. Yeah? But they didn't sit still either. They knew they had to use their engineering expertise, their patents, to design something else. And that's where today we know that Dyson can do fans all behind the same technology, the Cyclone technology, even hair dryers and automatic vacuum cleaners. And at one point, they even had washing machines. So you've seen now how brands and products are correlated and they're built over time. And that's critical. You can also start to see how design plays a critical role in products and brands to bring them to a different level from where they were in the past and where they're going at present. Another, Kia. Now, Kia was like a state-owned brand manufacturer of cars for Korea, South Korea, right? And when they first came out, the cars, they were not very interesting. They had strange proportions and the engine was questionable. So when they went to North America, the push to go to North America and launch the brand, people laughed at them. So what is this? What kind of car is this from Asia? But they didn't stop there. They knew that by making the cars more interesting, making the cars more beautiful, yeah, and more usable with better engines, they managed to isolate themselves away from all the negative noise and actually make people get interested in their brand. So as you can see, the car on the left versus the car on the right, it's huge difference. Yeah, huge difference. They took design and made it one of their core branding cues and positioned design to lead the company out from where they were before. So inilah satu penggunaan reka bentuk dalam memastikan produk dan jenama tersebut boleh dibawa ke tahap yang lagi tinggi. Okay. So over the years, Kia has delved deeper and deeper into using design as a differentiator, and they come up with really interesting products, like the car on the right, for example, very niche, very different, and it's nice to see a lot of car brands in the world is also doing the same thing. Right, another one, Mercedes-Benz. Now, if I say Mercedes-Benz to the younger generation today, maybe there's not a close affinity. Tak ramai yang mungkin suka brand Mercedes-Benz ni kerana because it is associated with being maybe a businessman's car, an old man's car. There was a time that happened. Maybe now it's not so bad because they made a conscious decision to change the way their cars are branded. They made a decision to acknowledge that design can play an important role. Design boleh membezakan apa yang kita apa persepsi dahulu dengan persepsi baru. So as you can see, the A-Class on the right versus the original A-Class on the left is radically different. Look at the surfaces, look at the proportions of the car. The change is dramatic. So let's look at the next example. Yeah, over the years, Mercedes-Benz have been able to change their perception, their brand from an old man's car or even a taxi, yeah, rock solid but uninteresting, to rival all the other manufacturers like BMW and Audi by investing in great design, making sure that the cars were exciting, young, youthful, you know. So the brand now is no longer looked as being old, but actually something that you want to have, much like Apple have done. So the past few examples that we've just seen shows that brand transformation through design is real. You can make a dent in the universe if you invest in great design, and organizations and institutions and companies like Apple, Dyson, Kia, Mercedes-Benz, and a lot more examples out there have proven, yeah, if you invest in great design, good design, you can make a difference. Now, even if you have great design, like what you've just said, you cannot move forward if you don't have good strategy. Is very important. How are you going to execute it? Because good design alone is not going to cut it. Ya, kalau kita ada reka bentuk idea yang paling hebat pun, tapi kita tak ada strategi yang bagus, agak mustahil untuk kita naikkan arah, jenama ataupun reka bentuk kita ke tahap yang lebih tinggi. Kita mesti ada strategi. We must have a good strategy to be able to move the goalpost. Allow me to elaborate the strategies. You must have the right people. This is the team from Proton Design, and I'm really proud to have them with me. In fact, a lot of this presentation that you see is by these people. It's not all by me. These are the people who lay the foundation, who spend the time, countless hours to help me be here with you today. So in spirit, they're with me. So investment in people is very important, because car design or design in general, it's not a one-man show. Yeah. You have to be able to use the talents around you as a team to move forward. Okay. So invest in good designers, good engineers, good people around. When you have the good people, yeah, you have a great team. They need the right tools to move forward. Sebab kalau kita ada orang saja, tapi tak ada alat untuk membuat kerja, dia takkan jadi juga. So personally, I think the digital way of doing things is definitely the way to go. Everything today is mostly digital, right? So it allows you to do your work faster, more accurate, yeah, and engage more people in the world to get better feedback. Kita buat design ni, kita tak boleh short sendiri. Lagi-lagi industrial design. Industrial design ni dia memerlukan feedback daripada pengguna dan orang luar. Kita tak boleh short sendiri buat kerja. So having the right tools is important. Investing in the right tools is even more key. So being able to identify what is required today to get the work done of the future is fundamental. These are some of the technologies that is very common today, isn't it? You know, all of you have heard of 3D printing. You've heard of 3D scanning and the use of huge display screens like a power wall to get the design activities moving faster and more accurately. So investing in the right tools is a long-term effort. Yeah, it's not just today, tomorrow. It requires a strategy that goes a long way forward. Okay. And I think these technologies are very common nowadays. It's quite common, and you can get them at more reasonable cost compared to before. So you have the right people, right? You have the right tools. And I'm also a firm believer that you have to put them in the right environment. Design thrives when they are put in an environment that is conducive to idea generation. Yeah, they have to be in the right mood. They have to be able to have the freedom of expression. Yeah, to be able to have alone time also, as well as team time. Banyak aspek-aspek environment yang kita boleh guna untuk menjanakan idea dan creativity. Now, I'm sure that when you look at these images, they're quite engaging because they are design-oriented. That designers can fully utilize. Yeah, even things like lighting, temperature, the seats that you use, the tables that are in front of you, the architecture, all provide inspiration to design, all provide motivation to designers. Never underestimate the power of a good working environment. And you'll see later also in my presentation how that affects in terms of data-wise. Jadi kita untuk memastikan idea sentiasa ada, boleh dibesarkan, can be developed. It's important to have this environment, suasana yang sesuai. So, kita dah tengok, ya, the right people, the right tools, the right environment, ya. Another aspect that people usually miss is the aspect of wellness and well-being. Sebab kalau kita ada orang yang bagus, designer yang kreatif, kita ada alat yang sesuai, di suasana yang sesuai, tetapi dia mental dia selalu terganggu, tak sihat, you know, if you have all those elements but you're not well mentally or physically, your focus is not there, it doesn't help. I am a firm believer in the importance of wellness and well-being. Some good examples is your mental health. Are you calm when you're trying to do your work? Are you healthy enough physically to come to work, to stay the long hours, to be able to engage people with focus? And benda ni penting. Yeah. And you have to promote this. You can't just expect it to happen. It doesn't. It is an investment. Kesihatan ni satu investment kepada diri kita, dan you have to love yourself to be able to have a stable wellness and well-being. And I want to show you a video of my team and I that we did as part of wellness and well-being, because I think it's good to have fun. It's good to have some sort of release when you're trying to be creative. We make a point to every year do a video for Hari Raya, and that was one of it, whereby we did a whole video to celebrate. I think celebrating not just big successes but small wins, is very important. I believe that the spirit of family in a team is critical. So, as part of strategies, you've seen how the importance of people, the right people with the right tools in the right environment, and focusing also on wellness and well-being will promote the transformation that you need to move to the next level. Now, earlier, we looked at brands, right? Importance of design. Now, you have strategies to utilize, to make use of those elements to go to the next level. But that is not enough. You need to have other elements to enforce your ideas. And that's where results come in. Whatever you do, whether you're a student, you're a lecturer, or you're a professional in your work, you must be able to show results to justify what you have invested and what you have done in the past. Design especially is very important for this, because design is so subjective. Yeah, I think you can agree with me, right? Whether it's industrial design, graphic design, fine arts, whatever, it is an extremely subjective discipline. Everyone has an opinion. Whether you like it, you don't like it, you think it's positive, you think it's negative, everyone has an opinion. But very few will be accountable for it. So one of the best ways to justify accountability is through tangible results. One good example in Malaysia of how to justify good results is actually the Malaysia Good Design Awards. This award is open to all individuals, organizations, groups, teams in Malaysia to endorse the work that you have done. It is an accreditation of the highest level of government in Malaysia. So when you have these kind of accreditations, it becomes a lot easier, menjadi mudah untuk kita tunjuk kerja yang kita telah buat. The work that you have done is relevant within the time that it was awarded. And it's not a permanent accreditation, but it is something that will assist in showing that the work done is real, bukan short sendiri. So trying to get awards, I think, is a positive way for designers to accredit their work. And there are many, many out there, whether you're in academics or whether you're in industry. There are many. Ada banyak sangat yang kita boleh tengok di Malaysia dan juga di overseas. Also, when you talk about overseas, the presence is critical. Especially if you want to go global. Once you have the local or domestic accreditation, the next step should always be achieving international recognition. Some of the things that we, to showcase that we are part of the bigger group, we are involved in international collaborations and even designing things for the global population, not just for Malaysia. So this is the next step if you want to grow your design presence and your brand. At the same time, you have to show that the investment is done. Early on, I mentioned about the, investment in tools, right? The tools for designers tend to be quite expensive, quite high, the cost. But if you can show it is contributing to your efficiency, dengan investment pada tools yang ada awal-awal tadi tu, alat-alat tu, kita menjadi lebih efficient, and you can deliver better, faster, cheaper, for example, definitely it becomes a lot easier. These are examples of cars that were launched in one single calendar year. I can't think of any other mass manufacturer, car manufacturer, that has been able to launch 4 cars in one calendar year. And so these are very simple but very tangible examples of high levels of efficiency. It's undeniable. To be able to do this, is definitely a good sign. This is an example from the automotive world, but how about yourself? If you're from academics, like you're a student, or if you, in your field of study, right? Maybe how much are you actually producing in terms of your writings, publications, all contribute towards a signal to efficiencies. So industry and academic is actually quite similar in terms of its appreciation when it comes to design efficiency. Right? So you have to prove something. Another one is if you're in industry, low turnover rate is also a good signal. It's not the one and only signal, but it's a good signal showing that you have a good environment. Remember, I was talking to you about the environment, a good environment to work in. When you have a good environment to work in, you will have staff, you will have designers, members who want to stay together and finish the journey from start to end. Yeah. There are many perspectives of a low turnover rate, but I for one, I think it is a positive thing. We have team members in our design team who have been with us for double digits, more than 10 years. I think it's because it is a very stable environment that promotes creativity, that is very, very supportive of designers in general. And this is a good indicator. So you have to be able, the summary to that is that you have to be able to show results. And that can be through the awards that you get, the accreditations that you get, being able to show that you are boosting your efficiency levels much higher, be able to deliver results. And to a certain extent, a low turnover rate also is a good signal if you look at it from that certain perspective. How, in summary, just the results, shows by itself. So you work on design strategies, you have the results, and you must also have a vision of the future. Because when you're doing design, a lot of times that you do these things is for future things. It's especially in industrial design, right? Because of the development timing is very long. You tend to have to do design forecasting, trend forecasting, maybe 2. So your ability to think and share your thoughts and ideas for the future shows your maturity, shows your relevance in your organization. Even if you're a student, you need to be able to show your foresight towards the future. So here are some examples. being able to identify disciplines. This is one example. PQHC stands for Perceived Quality and Haptic Controls. Something very new to the industry, especially in Asia. And it is a discipline that applies to product design, industrial design, most three-dimensional design, and of course, vehicle design. It's the science of touch. Yeah, the human five senses is also an art of how to understand the perception of that discipline. That is just one example, yeah, of being able to see and identify future disciplines so that you can do the research now and benefit later. Yeah. Foresight, like I mentioned. Then there is the need to be accredited at an international level. Red Dot, for example, it's a very popular award that individuals or people are gunning for, designers especially. They have a center in Singapore, nearest to us, but it originates over in Germany. So when you gun for these accreditations, your value will increase dramatically. And you need to expand your capabilities as well. Earlier, I showed you examples of 3D printing, right? But now there are so many new types of 3D printing. So you can't just stay with old technologies, you need to move forwards. The example on the right there is about how to do modeling. So traditionally, yeah, modeling used to mean that you use clay, you use foam, right? But today it is different. It is about using hard models. And by using those technologies, you can be assured of being ahead of the curve. What do I mean by ahead of the curve? Ahead of the curve means you can visualize the future. The example of the car on the right, yeah, you see that, was done many years before the boom of the SUV. Nowadays, sekarang ni kalau kita tengok dekat jalan dekat Malaysia ni kan, and also you study the preferences of customers nowadays. Majority of people would love to have SUVs, like the Proton X70 or the smaller X50 now, right? Very exciting cars. And I think design identified this many years before the boom happened. That's what we mean by being ahead of the curve. You need to be able to project what is coming using the knowledge that you have with you. Right, so anticipating the future is so important. You've seen how brand is important, the right strategies with the right tools, yeah? Being able to anticipate by enhancing your knowledge into new disciplines, gaining accreditation internationally, expanding your capabilities, and being able to think ahead of the curve is the value that will be given to you to be recognized. Remember, to transform is not easy. I can assure you, to transform an organization or even yourself as a designer or as a person of knowledge. The qualities, these are the features that you can use to enhance yourself. Okay? Now, I'm going to leave you with this for a short while. Another video that we did. Team Proton Design. So that was Team Proton Design. Ladies and gentlemen, took us 365 days to complete that video. It is just a showcase of the people that makes design happen in the industry. And I feel they are the best, the cream of the crop, best in Malaysia. So that basically concludes the first bit of my presentation. Before we go to part two, Dr. Zuhairi, perhaps if there are any engagement that we want to do with the audience, is there, because I can't see the chat box, are there any questions on the first part?
Yeah, maybe we open any question to the participant. A very nice video, but unfortunately quite lag during the replay.
I see.
Okay,
So it
but
was lagging, was it?
It's a normal for when we do this Webex meetings, right? So it's something that we cannot do much. So okay, well, participant, any question you can ask now? Okay, there's a one question here, or maybe more. Okay, the first one is how does the designing team in Proton work cross-functionally with the engineering team, marketing team, etc.? So this was from Afif Bahari, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Would you
Right.
like to
Afiq, thank
share?
you. Sorry. Afiq, thank you for the question. Actually, when you're doing industrial design, engagement across disciplines is something that you cannot go away from. It is a requirement. You have to do it. You have to be able to have fruitful discussions between parties. Yeah, and I think in general, wherever you go, whether you're in academics or in industry, it's the same thing. The ability to engage. Yeah? But designers have always been known to be always at odds with engineers. But for my perspective, it doesn't have to be that way. Yes, engineering and design are very different professions. Yeah. But when you talk about industrial design specifically, there are very similarities as well. You're all trying to achieve the same thing. That's where the teamwork comes into play. That's where the seniors in the design team also contribute to leading the juniors to be able to come to a landing. Untuk capai satu kata sepakat yang kedua-dua pihak boleh guna to move forwards. That's most important. I tell you, not a day goes by in my profession where I don't have engagement with other parties. Not just engineers, can be marketing people, management representatives, etc. And it is something that you accept. Now, you cannot expect to win every discussion every time. No. Yang kita kena pandai betul ansur, ya, give and take tu memang penting. Sebab kita kena ingat kita buat ni untuk pelanggan. You are doing this for the customer, not for yourself. Ya. Once you accept that, then it becomes easier. Kadang-kadang ni kita terlalu taksub. Kita ni pentingkan diri kita lebih sangat daripada objektif besar. Yeah, sometimes that happens. You put yourself above the customers, and then it becomes a big problem. That's how I would explain.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Azlan. But during my days last time, very long time ago, we work mixed with engineering and all those people from marketing around us. So, but now it's quite different. But still engaging to still ada. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's another question also from Afif Bahari. How often a design should be innovative? Sorry, how often a design should be innovative and transform, and why?
Right. I think another good one. Actually, there is no hard rule. Ya, dia tak ada satu konsep yang one size fits all, tak ada. It all depends on the industry and the requirement of the market. Kadang-kadang macam pembuatan kereta kan, cars, it can be anything between 6 months to 3 years to do something. Depends on the change requirements. It's not easy. I don't have a straight answer for you, but you ask why at the end of your question. It's very simple. In industrial design, in product design, it is to satisfy the customer needs. Itu paling penting kerana kita bukannya shop sendiri. Kita buat ni sebagai satu industri, satu business. Yeah, that is my answer.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, because kita sekarang lebih kepada user centered. So kita apa-apa juga kita look back to the what customer wants, right? So also there's another question from who's this Hyong Kawin. How long how long times? To using, I read it wrongly maybe. Okay, to using, you have to write your question properly lah. Because your
Assalamualaikum.
question maybe about to
Lan, dengar
design
tak?
what's the
Salam, yeah.
Jasni here, Jasni.
Oh, just ni.
Oh, hello.
Kawan lama,
Right.
batch. Satu batch. Tosha. Firdaus.
Oh, lama dulu.
Ah,
Macam jejak
88.
kasih pula ni.
Itulah.
Sorry.
Ang
Sorry,
sihat ke?
doktor. Alhamdullah, okey.
Saya nak sambung ni. Sambung soalan ni. Okey.
Kita bagi jalan untuk Dr. Zuhairi sekejap.
Ya. Sekejap So ada soalan ni, dia tanya tentang design tu. Berapa lama untuk buat satu design tu? Dia punya design cycle kot maybe.
Yes.
Sample model came out. So sampai sehingga keluarnya model. So itulah mungkin the design cycle lah.
Ya, rasanya soalan daripada Karwin lebih kurang sama dengan soalan daripada Farhan dan Azmi kat bawah tu. So I'm going to try to answer both of these questions. Basically, 2 in 1. We gave a special bonus this morning. 2 in 1 answer. Karwin and Farhan. So it depends. Models, when it comes to full-size models, can take you anything from 6 months to a year. That's when you talk about clay models, 1-to-1 scale car models. But when it comes to components, with the use of 3D printing and whatnot, we can do it very quickly, in a day, in a few hours. So again, it depends on the scale. So Farhan extends the question. How often the designs are rejected? I get it every day. I can tell you, I get design rejections every day. But that is part of the challenge. I think Dr. Zuhairi, you can understand what I'm saying. Normal lah. Normal lah tu kan.
Kalau kita go back to the title of this session kan, by chance or by design. So definitely kalau kita tengok memang by design, bukannya by chance, right?
Correct.
So, what do you think about it?
Correct, Dr. Zuhairi. You need the strategies, you need the people, kan? So kalau kita tengok the mental thought tu, it is very systematic. It's very systematic. It is a process. Much like if you are doing your thesis or whatever, kan, dia ada method dia.
Procedure.
So it's not by chance.
Betul. Okay, ada question lain?
Daripada Dr. Jasni ni, how do you foresee the design trends nowadays in relations to solve any issues on design itself? I think design trends is the key. If you do very good design foresight, design or trend forecasting, definitely you will unearth many issues. Because during design forecasting, you do a lot of in-depth, deep thinking process. Kan? Macam kita buat literature review lah. Ini saya ungkit sikit lah kan, mentang dah dalam prosesnya. So kita boleh melalui literature review, kita dapat mengetengahkan, kita dapat identify many gaps kan, in this world. Sebab kita kena baca artikel yang paling maksimum 5 tahun lepas. Jangan lebih daripada tu, nanti out of date.
Yes.
I wish my supervisor is here. Anyway, so definitely by looking at the design trends, kita boleh solve banyak issues. Definitely.
Betul.
Azlan. Tapi I rasa design trend is not necessarily can solve all the issues, but of course in our worlds in design industry ni, kita melihat kekurangan yang berlaku dalam sesuatu design furniture contohnya, ataupun sesuatu produk tu kan yang telah dibuat oleh past researcher kan. Jadi kadang-kadang design solution yang diberikan oleh new researcher tersebut tidak menyelesaikan secara sepenuhnya apa yang sepatutnya yang disediakan oleh past researcher. Selalunya past researcher ni akan bagi recommendation kan, apa yang still gap, yang still leaking, apa semua kan dalam sesuatu design tu. Tetapi dia when it comes to the commercial punya production, mereka tidak melihat benda ni semacam satu benda yang harus diselesaikan dulu, tapi more kepada berapa ramai orang akan beli, berapa banyak orang akan beli produk tersebut, dan mereka ignore apa yang sepatut mereka selesaikan. Ini di mana isunya? Adakah tanggungjawab itu designer tersebut ataupun company yang di mana designer itu bekerja daripada company tersebut? Kadang-kadang we need to sacrifice kan. We need to sacrifice. I was in industry for 17 years. Kadang-kadang kita punya stand, apa yang kita belajar dalam design ni, not necessarily been heard by the company tau. Sebab mereka lebih fokus kepada, production punya projection. Itu yang berlaku di industri.
Betul. I think this is where the gaps happen. Bukannya gap dalam research, tapi sebenarnya gap antara academia, industri kat sini, and maybe the researcher dekat tengah. So these are the things that we have to come to a landing. Oleh kerana the sphere of the research is so big, that's impossible. Saya cakap tu terang from my experience, impossible to satisfy ke semua elemen-elemen tersebut. So industry definitely looking at profit usually above all else. Sebab lah macam saya cakap tadi, it is a business. It exists because it is business. Yes. Academic lain. Academic tujuannya is for new knowledge, novelty dan sebagainya. So between these two, there will always be the gap. Yang pentingnya research objective ataupun business vision objective tu kena clear. Then you will satisfy one part lah. Not the whole thing, but one part of the gap.
Basically, how to tap others' pocket. Right. So,
correct.
Penting. Right. So I think that's something yang I agree with you about the environment, things like when we want to look at the future, we have to look back the history. So that is something that a student have to practice lah, kan? So always look back and see the history, how things evolve, and then we can predict the future. Right. I very agree about that. So
there is a question here by Amal Hakim. Soalannya mudah saja. Can share to us about the VR room at Proton. Actually, nak share verbally ni agak payah. You have to see it for yourself. But actually in the videos that I posted tadi, sebenarnya ada klip-klip tu sedikit. We have a dedicated VR room in Proton that we use for presentations at large scales. Because in design, it's important to be able to perceive perception in the right scale dan skala yang tepat. So kalau kita tengok kereta tu one-to-one scale, dia kenalah one-to-one scale. Macam itulah. It is a real projection system with multi-sensors lah. So I think it's a bit difficult to describe kat sini Amal. Tapi kalau ada kelapangan mungkin bolehlah datang ke Proton untuk melihat sendiri fasiliti yang ada.
Okay. Lain-lain soalan daripada participant?
I think we take one last question kat sini daripada Dr. Siti sendiri Dr. Su sendiri ni sebelum saya pergi ke the second part of my presentation. Ni bukan soalan, ini komen kot. Ada soalan. Nasihat untuk membantu meningkatkan mood, momentum pada pelajar terutama pada masa pandemik sekarang ni, memandangkan ramai pelajar-pelajar dari rumah. Okey, soalan yang cukup relevan dan Dr. Su saya rasa untuk melakukan tersebut kita kena ada engagement yang konsisten dan kita kena pandai menggunakan teknologi yang ada. For example, sekarang ni saya rasa macam saya cakap sorang-sorang dekat skrin yang mendatar di hadapan mata saya ni. Tetapi kalau mata kita ni jadi para pelajar, the students will not get bored. You notice that I'm very animated. I use my hands, I have facial expressions, and all that. That is important when you are trying to engage. When I'm doing tutoring, when I'm doing webinars, I make sure that my voice throw is strong, I'm able to be heard clearly, yeah, and I use body movements and slides which are engaging to the audience. Sometimes I use elements like Kahoot, software that is available online to engage the audience more, yeah, so that you know they are paying attention to you. I think there are a few, if you look online, that can help you to do this. Tak semuanya sesuai untuk digunakan dalam sesi webinar, tetapi dalam sesi tutoring, mengajar, memang ada banyak tools yang kita boleh guna to engage the students lah, yeah, or your audience in general. Dr. Su, adakah itu menjawab soalan anda?
Bolehlah juga, sebab mandangkan sekarang memang untuk pensyarah lah. Saya tak tahu di institusi lain, tapi untuk di USM pelajar produk design sendiri ada yang sangat bukan tertekan lah, hampir face to face melalui design kan. Lecturer boleh face to face and direct untuk correct diorang punya drawing, give some ideas secara face to face. Tetapi sekarang bila melalui online, dia dah ada macam dua wall yang berbeza dan pelajar ada yang rasa memang give up dan rasa tertekan untuk terus drop subjek. So it's quite challenge sebenarnya untuk pandemik sekarang ni. Kita nak convincekan student the idea and also nak naikkan juga semangat student pada masa yang sama. Saya rasa pensyarah agak pun sama tertekan tapi tak nak tunjuk di depan pelajar. Cuma itulah mungkin and also our teknologi punya mungkin pada pihak pelajar kekurangan facilities. Dan situasi yang macam tu, kita nak macam mana nak encourage pelajar supaya teruskan membuat design, mencari idea. Bila tiba dekat rumah kita takut dia, sebab kawan-kawan dah jauh, pensyarah pun jauh, mereka alone, keluarga. So kita, dari segi motivasi, kita nak naikkan balik dia punya momentum tu. Yang macam tu.
Hang kena bagi jawapan kaunselor kan.
Actually, that is one of my actually that's one of my thoughts just now. Actually, I don't know about USM, tapi in my institute, kan, you actually have counselors who engage the students lah. So they are actually open. They are actually being approached. Dia tak menunggu untuk di approach. They go to the student and ask, "Are you okay? What can we do to help you in this situation?" Yeah. So it's not really the lecturer or the not really the pensyarah yang kena buat ni sahaja, tapi dibantu oleh unit counselling institusi ataupun universiti tersebut. I believe it should have in this situation, keadaan pandemik sekarang ini, penting. Kita tak boleh biarkan pensyarah sahaja handle benda ni. Tak. Sebab kepakaran untuk counselling ni, kita kena ada accreditation. Tak boleh pandai-pandai sendiri. And I think the counselling unit boleh memainkan peranan yang penting. That's my non-design response lah from my experience, Dr. Su.
But actually we do have a counselor, dedicated counselor in USM. The only things, maybe the numbers of the students, I don't think that you can cope with the numbers with the counselor that we have, So it tends to be that the problems that the students, most of the design students face is quite different between each others, So in terms of emotional depressions, loneliness, everything kan. Jadi untuk detect for every students ni punya problems, maybe it's a bit difficult. It will take some times lah.
Yes.
Okay, maybe
I think,
Elan, move on. Yeah.
So, Mr. Azlan,
yes.
I have a question, but not as a design student, but more to consumer lah. Kan sekarang ni kita sedia maklum yang Proton dia dibeli oleh Geely. Okay. Is there by any chance that Proton will bring back the old model, the old cars macam Wira, Kiara, lepas tu Satria yang lama yang sebelum zaman Geely ambil alih, Proton? Is there by any chance that Proton will bring back the old models untuk future? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Amal. I think the easiest way to answer is in this business, anything can happen. There's no straight answer saying yes or no sebab dia berpandukan kepada kehendak pengguna. What does the customer want?
Hitam.
Yeah. Does the customer want the Satria now? 5 years from now? Ke dia orang memang tak nak sebab tak sesuai dengan keperluan masa kini. So I don't have a straight answer to you. I just know that it all depends on the customers. Okay, Amal?
Because kalau kita tengok current market sekarang ni, dia more kepada SUV. Jadi kalau pembeli baru pun, diorang macam tak banyak pilihan, keretanya ada. Jadi diorang terpaksa ambil SUV dan secara tak langsung dia boleh naikkan sell SUV dan researcher daripada R&D dia jadi macam so consumer more to SUV, tapi actually ada lagi segolongan yang diorang lebih sukakan kereta yang lebih compact, yang lebih sporty macam tu berbanding SUV.
It is a balance. It's not easy kerana keperluan business tu penting juga, ya. Sebab kalau kita buat kereta yang niche ni kan, yang kecil-kecil ni kan, kalau dia tak menyumbang kepada pulangan syarikat, macam mana kita nak buat projek-projek yang lain? It is a balance, yeah. With no straight answer, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Azlan.
Yeah.
Mungkin Encik Azlan boleh teruskan dengan yang kedua tu, yang the second phase.
Yes, I think. But before that, I think I just want to address Farhan Azmi. Dia ada bertanya, if a product cost suddenly increase midway production, will it be brought back to the drawing board, or we just increase the selling price? There is no straight answer. Depends on the requirements of the customer. You know, sometimes cutting costs is not the solution. We realize that over time, macam orang dekat Malaysia ni kan, dia sebenarnya ada duit nak belanja. Dia boleh je bayar lagi mahal, lagi banyak. Kalau dia rasa benda yang dia nak beli tu berbaloi. You know, people are willing to pay. Doesn't mean that everybody would just wants cheap items. Yeah. So it depends on the product and the target market. Okay, Farhan? All right, so Dr. Zuhairi, I will now proceed with sharing my screen again, and we can field more questions. Feel free to ask, and we'll try to address them after the end of the second session. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, let me try to share. All right, you guys can see my screen?
Yeah, boleh.
Okay, so we talked about transformation of design in the industry, right? And how it relates to academic elements to showcase that you are moving in the right transformation direction, right? So also important to know is how to bridge your thoughts, your ideas to industries. And the trick is actually to communicate good design. A big part of this second part is about communicating good design. And simple, right? Best designs are simplest of designs. It's actually very difficult to do. Sebenarnya amat susah untuk buat design yang simple. Let me give you some real world examples. Again, I like to use Apple because I think they're design leaders in product design. From a small company that was at the brink of bankruptcy, they turned themselves around to have a market capitalization of more than 2 trillion US dollars. I mean, you can run a small country with that kind of money, right? And this is just one company in America. Okay? And if you study how they moved from being almost bankrupt to where they are today, a lot of it has to do with the investment in unconventional, groundbreaking, new designs. Look at this car. I think most of you can tell what car it is, right? It is a silhouette that is so recognizable to us. This is the 911 Porsche. Over the years, even when they changed from air-cooled to water-cooled engines, etc., the silhouette of the car has not changed much. It is one of the most desirable silhouettes for a sports car from before until today. Again, you see the power of design, and I'll go into those elements shortly. Dyson, again, always imitated but never equal. Why? There's so much engineering, there's so much research that's done inside the designs that make them unequal. Yeah, so many prototypes done, so many mistakes made, but still they are the market leader. You know, when you think back in history, I think earlier just now, Dr. Zuhairi mentioned about looking back in the past, right? It is very critical to actually do that, to understand history. If you look at history, right, and how design has evolved over the centuries, it was analog at its best. From the loom machine to the first steam engine and to the production line by Henry Ford, the Industrial Revolution has created analog systems to satisfy the industry requirements. But then change happened. Yeah, that is where things started to get personal. Personalization is now more important than anything else in the market. People want to have things which they can personalize to be exclusively theirs. So we've come to a point, yeah, in industry and even academic, whereby there is a need to move forward very quickly. There is a need for speed. Yeah. And examples that you see there right in front of you shows that people want things that they can call their own. Whether it's the right colors that associate with the character, or even TV channels on demand. So now, there is by digital consumerism. Big word. but it essentially means using digital systems to satisfy consumers. Yeah? You need to explore the creative impetus to be able to go in line with digital consumerism. Yeah? And there are many creative impetus that's available to us today because the channels are huge. But even with all those things, this realization, you first have to answer fundamentally, what is good design so you can satisfy the customer? So you can satisfy your own. Car or product is not necessarily a good piece of design. This is merely style. But the ability to understand form that follows function, that has been misunderstood largely. You actually need to join that theory of form and function that needs to come together in one union. Yeah. We've all heard about in design, form follow function versus function follow form, right? I believe in what Frank Lloyd Wright says here, whereby the two of them actually should combine as one and not be separated. And we've seen examples of this throughout the industry, whether it's a car that is really nice but not so practical, or a car which is really practical but not so aesthetically pleasing, like an example there. But better yet, a juicer that looks fantastic at the same time is functional. These are just a few examples of what I meant earlier about good design, or what is good design. But one thing's for sure, good design is subjective. In my first presentation earlier, I already iterated this fact. It is very subjective. And usually people measure things, design, whether it's good or bad, by what they hear from the press, what the customer endorses or not endorse, the numbers of the sales, and of course the profits that they get from the sales of the product. Yeah, Proton in particular have had ups and downs. Yeah, you've had some cars which are struggling, and you also have some cars which have just blown the roof, like the new X50 on the top left-hand corner there. Huge volumes with huge interest from the public. So the press usually says, how do you separate good design from brand image? So now you've seen the move. When you talk about design, it's not really just about design. It's actually a multitude of things, yeah, that's justified. And sales usually is all about saying good design does not always sell, because sometimes the market is not ready, the brand is maybe not fitting it. You have reliability issues, or maybe sales support is not strong enough, or ultimately the price is too high or too low. There are cases. So these are some questions that people always ask when trying to communicate and understand what is good design. How do you separate design from brand image? Is it possible in today's day and age? Here's an example of an innovative design but garnered poor sales. This is the car that was developed by Renault many years ago. They actually created the mini MPV segment, Renault, with the Scenic. And they tried to push the boundaries by actually making a sort of like a coupe swooping car with a strange back end, you know, and just two doors to enter the car. It was extremely innovative, but maybe too early in its time. So what happened was it suffered in terms of sales. The car didn't move, and it didn't become very popular at all. So innovative, unfortunately, low interest. Yeah. So that shows you to communicate. We want to bridge good design. It has to be judged on certain non-design elements like general concept and execution of the details. So what is design execution? No, Ian's says that details are not the details, they are the design. And so that shows you how important it is to look into the finer details of whatever piece of design you're doing. And not just product design, it can be from any field of design. Therefore, those details should show differentiation. It should have innovation in terms of style, function, and technology that you're trying to show. And it should be relevant to something. Now, I like the word heritage there. And it is something that I usually talk about when I'm talking about design. Because heritage design, as you'll see later, can play a critical role in your brand development. And last but not least, consistency in your design. What do I mean by consistency? I'll share with you shortly. So, differentiation. Remember, these are some appropriate elements that you can have in your design that people can understand. So when you talk about differentiation between brands, right, whether it's an Alfa Romeo there or the Land Rover on your left, or the BMW on your right, do they have enough differentiation for people to recognize, that is this brand, that is that brand? So differentiation is critical in a market today that is so saturated. Yeah. When it comes to style, are you styling the car in the way that fits the customer needs? Is a sedan and a sports car in terms of its proportions, in terms of the lines and the features that you have on the car? You know, it makes you really think about it. Because sometimes there are certain designs, like we saw in the example of the Renault, it does not fit the purpose of the design. And then there's the function. Are you giving functions which the customer wants at this point in time, or the point of the sale of the product? You know, sometimes when you are too advanced, you become a problem. But if you're too late, then you become irrelevant. So right function at the right time is key. And who can forget technology, right? Our lives, and it's shown so clearly in this pandemic era of COVID-19, technology is helping us achieve many, many things. Now, in design also, that is, of course, critical. Technology can help designers achieve what was impossible in years past. New technology, like lighting systems or materials, batteries. That's a good example, actually, batteries. What used to be really big now is very, very slim. And that allows the packaging of the product to be radically different than what it was like 5 years ago. Okay, heritage, one of my favorite topics to talk about. We talk about heritage is as a product evolves or as a design evolves over time, do you relate it to something that is intrinsic that no one else can take away from you? synonymous with Britain. Those are what we call heritage-related designs. And that's very important because heritage links to something that very regional and is not accessible or credible to anyone else. Once you own that, and no one can take it away from you. Consistency of design. This is an example of the VW Golf. And you may notice that over the years, in spite of the designs changing to be more modern, it has not lost its consistency of spirit in sportiness, compactness, and leader in design and quality. So a consistency we found out over the years, the family look, for example, actually helps with explaining from design to industry and obviously to the customers. So in executing all those elements, it's good to know those that matter. In car design, for example, or even in product design, proportion, stamps, good highlights, excellent surface, tactile materials, touch and feel, excellent ergonomics in cars, in products, quality of fit and finish. And like I mentioned in my first presentation, the C quality, and to a certain extent, the haptic control feel that you put. Proportions are not exclusively to cars. Proportions can also be accredited to product design, even vacuum cleaners. Yeah? And there is a formula to get good proportions. And you have to know what that is so that whatever you design looks right. Now, I didn't say the word looks good, but I used the word looks right. And these are two examples of very well proportioned cars. Stance. This is specifically for car design, right? And I think you can tell if you look at the Reliant Robin on the right versus the Proton concept car on the left. The car on the left looks more stable, for sure. Well, one makes you wonder why car on the right even existed in the first place, but that's another story. Highlights. If you look at the bright and dark sections of the car, this particular car, you understand the importance of highlights and why highlight surfacing in products, in cars, can play an important role to entice people to like what you see. The thing is, imagine if there was a dent on this surface, on any particular surface of this car. Do you think you will like it? Do you think you will not notice it? I'm sure you will. That's the simplest way to explain why highlights is so critical in what humans see. And that is related to surface and line work. If you do it right, the flow of all these lines, the flow of all these surfaces will be very beautiful to look at. It is a skill that takes time to do. It is based on a lot of experience and technical ability. Materials. We've seen how the right kind of materials can make you feel at home in whatever it is that you hold. So, kalau kita masuk dalam kereta ni kan, ia ibarat kita boleh duduk dalam rumah kita sendiri. The leather that you feel, for example, the fabrics that you touch on the seats, for example, makes you feel at home because you spend so much time with a particular product or car or something. The feel of a gated gear for example, is amazing. You have to feel it. It is so engaging. Yeah, for if you want something sporty. And that applies to all the knobs and push buttons you have in the car also. Or if you look at a product, if you look at a product, the buttons you have in the designs that you do have a perception to the customer. So never discount the feel of your designs. I talked about ergonomics just now and how important it is, isn't it? Even if you have the best designs, even if you've designed the best vacuum cleaner, but it is not ergonomically usable. That means you use it after a while, you get pains on your hands or your body. Then ergonomically, something is wrong. And the design has failed. Yeah. That's how important the study of anthropometric data and ergonomic is to design. Quality, perception of gaps and flushness. Have you guys ever noticed that the shut lines on cars, the gaps in products play a role of how you perceive high quality or low quality? Yeah, there is actually a lot of studies done on these gaps and flushness. Very important. So in the end, when you listen to all that elements and qualities, what really is good design? How do you communicate good design to bridge between academic to industry, between customers to the designers? Yeah. No matter how beautiful your strategy is, you must always look at the results. Again, you can relate this to my first presentation. Results. Design is not just emotional thinking. It is not just a sketch, a visual, or a good-looking rendering. Yeah. Those elements are just the basics. Yeah. Results. Yeah. It's important, and to be able to recognize what those results and the changes are. Okay. Planning and understanding of the market will give you these results, along with logical processes and strategic approaches. Again, you notice that the words I use are related to my first presentation. That's where the final piece of the puzzle is, and that is heritage, or also known as national premium value. Okay. A lot of designers, when they do design, and it doesn't just apply to car companies, right? We talk about products as well, are actually in the following design phase. When I mean by following, that means you are a follower. You do your benchmarking, you copy designs, you follow what others have done. And that's average. You sometimes have good design because your designs start to meet global standards over time. And you have basic identity because you develop brands and want to be differentiated from others. But still, you are average. To be above average, you need to invest in native design or heritage design to add in a premium value to your designs, whatever your design may be. And that final stage is where you should aim to be. Because like I said earlier, no one can take it away from you. You are the expert in native design. Yeah. So this is a very important slide. This is a very important piece of information. If you want to move from being average, you need to invest in native design. Okay? You need to understand heritage and own that piece of heritage. Therefore, good design is something. The best design, there's something that's related to usually culture, identity, and differentiation in a new paradigm. It shows a new paradigm, can be the best marketing tool. It can be the best product. So always get to know yourself, which is the heritage bit I shared just now, and then define your culture on how it can contribute to your good design. It's kind of heavy. This last few parts is quite academic, but definitely applicable to industry as well. Let me share with you this show reel. Good design speaks for itself. Good design doesn't need to be pushed. Yeah? Credits to my my design team, my visualization, cast team, color team, and the designers in general for putting that short video together. So that basically ends my second presentation. I hope you've been able to see the relationship between my first presentation to the second one. The second one relates on a deeper level about how to communicate good design by using brands, using elements of design and principles of design. I hope the designers still remember that. I find that a lot of designers forget the very basics of the elements and the principles of design, and how heritage, understanding history, can move your brand to a very different level. Native, national even. Right, Dr. Zuhairi. So that
Okay.
basically ends my first.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay. Yeah, basically, that's the heritage. That's differentiate from others, right? So,
Yes.
and I also have a question. Just now, when you show the slide just now, so I, s- I can see that there's sketches done by designers, and how can we tell the student that the skill of rendering or the skill sketching skill is really critical in industry, but you also mentioned that design is not just about fantastic rendering and so on. So how to generalize this?
Well, I think you were referring to this image, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So sketches is very important in the design impetus. Yeah, especially manual sketching. Yes, nowadays you can do a lot of it on Wacom and do it digitally, correct? Yeah, but I think more importantly is the ability to translate from your brain, yeah, to your hands directly. Nothing can beat that method of developing design. And that's why I always tell designers, not just my team, but anyone I can share this with. It is so important, penting sangat untuk kita boleh buat sketch. Lagi-lagi sketch yang jenis fast. Fast sketches, quick sketches is critical. The problem we have with a lot of the younger generation, sorry to say this, I'm sure a lot of you are a lot younger than I am. They tend to go straight to the computer. they don't even do sketches anymore. They create surfaces immediately, and that is a problem. You cannot keep doing that. You need to be able to do idea development via sketches, and renderings. Okay, the computer is just a tool. It cannot substitute your brain and your artistic hands, because those are God-given. They're not man-made. Yeah. So never discount. I agree with Dr. Zuhairi in saying that it is critical to be able to do these manual renderings and sketches, especially when you're focusing on the details.
Yeah, thank you very much for highlight that. Yeah, because nowadays the younger generation they can talk, they can give ideas, but the output is not there. So that's a main problem here. Right. So,
Yeah.
but not all, but some are good. Yeah.
Yes.
Encik Azlan. Encik Azlan.
Yes.
Dr. Jamil here.
Yeah, Dr. Jamil, hello.
Okay, I got a question. I am very interesting. I am very interested with your presentation just now. You're talking about heritage. You're talking about continuity, where you show a few examples like, Volkswagen and a few other car companies in the world. I just wondering how this concept, how heritage, how this continuity being applied to the current products by the Proton itself. In this X70 and X50. Because nowadays, when we talk about X70 and X50, generally Malaysia would think about, Delhi, because it's from Delhi. So we was wondering, I'm also wondering how Proton, what are the elements that can be embedded in this X70 and X50? Because, it's from Boyu. So now we make it as a X70. So which part, heritage and continuity that we apply? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Jamil, for the question. It's an excellent question. And it's a question that I get very, very often. Yeah? But rather than just focusing on Proton, let me just generalize things a bit. Yeah? The perception of heritage or national premium value has many levels. Has many levels. When you talk about carryover designs, definitely you can have very small level and you can have very big level, depending on the allowable change content given to the designers. So in the case of vehicle design, let's take the X70 as a case. Due to requirements of getting or meeting market demands quickly, obviously we cannot waste time by trying to make changes which will take too long to realize. Therefore, there is a need to apply those elements in a faster, smaller scale first. But that doesn't mean that we didn't apply heritage or national design values. If you have been following the design developments of the design queues of Proton cars, as an example, you will notice that focus and attention to heritage is clearly explained even during the X70 launch. Even before that, actually, there is a clear, conscious decision made to ensure that the cues that we put on the car are relevant to our heritage. Sebagai contoh, elemen awan larat pada bahagian grill hadapan kereta tersebut. That is clearly a relationship to our heritage, our craftsmanship ability of Malaysia. Tak kira bangsa Cina, Melayu, India, ada elemen tersebut yang diterapkan, yang telah diolah, develop in a modern and vehicle design. So The easiest answer to your question is that yes, it has been applied in those cars, in all Proton cars. The difference is the scale of the change. Sama ada ia kecil ataupun besar saja.
So is it Proton try to, maybe in the next future try to make the scale bigger?
Of
Is that will
course.
be the point?
Yes. Of course, with any manufacturer, with any design team, the wish is always to give more to the customers in a more dramatic way. I think the customer need to be, particular Proton customers, need to be patient as we try every time to give the best value and design to everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Azlan. I hope that I wish you bad luck. I wish you good luck. Sorry, I wish you I wish you good luck, and I hope we can see more in Proton. I really hope so. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jamil.
Okay, we already almost 2 hours here, but maybe we cannot drag this too long. But maybe we can read some question from the student. Okay, from Chong Lipin here, Mr. Azlan, I have one question. What are some of the biggest challenges you face as a product designer? That's good.
Yes. It's, thank you for the question. Definitely, that is a very common comment we get, or question we get. What are the main challenges? And to me, it's actually communication. It's not about achieving the best idea of all or whatnot. No, it is actually communicating your ideas. I'm having to deal with a lot of this actually every single day. You can have the best ideas, but if you are unable to communicate your ideas in a clear, concise manner to your audience, to the stakeholders, then you have failed as a designer. Yeah, I've seen many individuals who have excellent ideas. But unfortunately, they can't describe it with people, so they can't sell the idea. So actually, as a designer, you have to be able to sell your idea at any level. I hope that answers your question. That, to me, that's the most significant.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Chong Lipin. And then we go back to Ms. Nadira. If graphic designer wants to get a job in Proton, so
Yeah.
what kind of commitment? So this something maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think rather than just focusing on graphic designers, let's focus on general applications. I think to be a designer in Proton, I was just asked this question the other day actually. To me, you have to be passionate. That's number one, in your craft. Secondly is that academic is important. You have to come from an accredited organization or institute, preferably with a 3-pointer. 3 pointers, then you have a bigger chance. But ultimately, you will have to go through at least 3 interview sessions. 3, not 1, 3 times.
Yeah.
Then we will filter and we will test you in your ability to sketch, ability to talk, to sell your ideas, etc., etc. So it's many levels. If you think you have the prowess, please apply.
Okay, to the next question. Hi, Mr. Azlan from Ching Ji Yin. Do designers have to learn to do virtual reality, I think, simulation tests, and do experiment to design regarding airflow affection and safety issues? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think,
Yes, aerodynamics is an important part of vehicle design, yes. It may not be so important to product design or graphic design, but if you're into cars and you want to be in the car business, then yes, definitely you need to learn the basic concepts that affect aerodynamics, airflow, even safety. Yeah. From my experience, right, it is important for you to be able to understand engineering also. Now, just to share with you, I'm actually a science student. I am not. I learned science. I know physics, biology, chemistry in school, and I learned later on when I was in design school. That helped me tremendously, and even now, even today, in my professional life. So yes, it is a definite plus point to know all this other knowledge. Thank you, Jing Yin.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question? Maybe you
I
can
think
give me one. Yeah.
I think Dr. Su has asked a question much earlier.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. Sorry.
Let's see. Okay, what is a project you are most proud of and why? Okay, well, when it comes to car design, to me, the project that is closest to me is the Satria Neo, because I spent a fantastic period of my life invested in that car design. I did it in the UK, and I did it with Lotus Design. I stayed in England to develop the car, and I brought the design back to Malaysia, further developed it with the local team, and launched the car. So definitely that is one of the projects that's close to heart. Another one is the Saga, the BLM, the new Saga to me. I penned the design, so yeah, it has a special place in my heart. But I think if you don't focus on physical projects, yeah, what I'm most proud is to be part of Proton Design and to grow the team. Actually, I cannot describe to you the pride I have in growing the team from very small to where we are here today. Very proud of that. Very proud of my team.
Okay. All right. So there's another question by Dr. Siti. How do you deal with feedback from your design proposal ideas? Is this answered?
Okay. Is that from Dr. Su, is it?
Yeah, still.
Well, mula-mula muka kena tebal.
Okay.
No, but no, actually it is important. You have to have thick skin to be able to, as a designer, to hear people condemn your design. If you cannot take comments, negative comments about your thoughts, your ideas, susah lah. Very difficult for you to progress as a designer.
Yeah.
You must be open to criticism, and I can tell you, in my position, I take criticism from the international level, bukannya daripada kawan-kawan saja. So you get a lot of a negativity that you need to be able to process. So you understand positives. You also need to understand negative.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Azlan, because sometimes we critics, we have a critic session with our students, so we don't want student after we critique, we not condemn, but we beri komen yang membina untuk membantu. Some of the student mungkin tidak boleh menerima kritikan tersebut dan akan jatuhkan diorang punya momentum. So I as I said before, I agree with you. Kita kena ada muka tebal untuk nak jadi designer. I really agree with you. Some of them akan, keluar menangis is okay, but memang kena terima lah kan, because some of the idea kadang memang tak kena. Something like that. Thank you.
Fellow students. I'm saying fellow student because I am also a student. Even in my old age now, I am still getting criticism from my supervisor, from my superiors and everything, So, generation can take it also. You have to, you have to be able to process good things and bad things. And once you realize that, then you will be able to be a better person, trust me.
Okay, there's a question from Nadira. Dia kata, do Proton take ergonomic? I think Mr. Azlan already mentioned this about ergonomics seriously. So
Correct. Yes.
interior design.
It is critical, because it's related to safety. If you don't do it right, you can hurt or, God forbid, kill people.
Yes. Okay. Any more question?
I think that's the last one by Dr. Sarina, is it?
Yeah. Can you give a general advice to students regarding life after studies, job market during the pandemic, etc.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we come towards the end of this session, I think that is a very pertinent question to ask. I think what's important for students right now is to maintain your focus. You need to treat the current pandemic just like any other day. You must have a routine that you follow. Bangun awal, masuk kelas, buat homework. You must have a routine. If you don't have a routine, you will waste time, and you cannot waste time when you're studying. Yeah? Okay. And related to that also is that you must most of the students, may I ask, are they postgraduate or bachelors or what?
Bachelor's degree, is it? Yeah.
Bachelor's, okay. So you must pay attention to your subjects, to your studio work or whatnot regularly. You can't leave it and expect in the last minute. Yeah. So therefore, be disciplined. Yeah. Life after studies, is not fun. Contrary to what people might think, when you enter the workforce, it's going to be fantastic. Yeah. Actually, I prefer studying than working. Okay. So it's going to be tough. Yeah. Looking for work is not easy, especially work which is very satisfying. Yeah. You don't always get to do what you want. But start small is okay, and then work your way up. You need to have a lot of patience. Yeah. So I think the end word is focus and discipline. You need to be able to maintain it during this difficult period. To maintain your motivation, etc. And joining this webinar is one of it.
Yes. Okay. There's a question from Eliana Aminuddin. Assalamualaikum Mr. Azlan. Saya ada soalan macam mana sustainability tarian boleh di-apply dalam design atau manufacturing. Tambah-tambah lagi dalam industri otomotif. Ya.
Waalaikumsalam, Eliana. Actually, sustainability is a very core component of automotive design. It's related to recyclability at the same time also. And that's the main reason also why we look at alternative or energy efficient vehicles. And the focus to make sure that the environment is taken care of is there and has been there for many years. So therefore, in design also, you have to ensure that you look into these elements whenever you do your design work. Choose materials which are sustainable. Choose materials which are recyclable. That's just one example. Yeah. How you do designs which do not waste material. Dia ada cara dia kita nak buat. Ada bentuk yang tak membazir. And these are all the theories that you need to work with engineering, and it comes from reading also. So janganlah tak membaca. You need to read.
Okay, saya rasa tak ada apa lagi soalan. Kalau ada, silakan. Tapi masa pun sudah terlebih ni. Jadi saya rasa kita end session ini kali ini. Kita pun dah dapat banyak pandangan dan idea-idea yang baik daripada Encik Azlan. So kita ucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada Encik Azlan yang telah sudi berkongsi idea dan pendapat beliau kepada kita semua. Semoga kita dapat belajar dari apa yang telah dikongsikan. Terima kasih sekali lagi Encik Azlan. So maybe kita akan jumpa lagi di masa-masa akan datang. Ya. Ada apa kata-kata akhir daripada Encik Azlan?
Alright, terima kasih ya Doktor dengan juga kepada ICAP dan USM for giving me this opportunity, memberi peluang untuk bercerita, berkongsi pendapat sedikit. I hope there will be another opportunity. Yeah, and because if you recall, I mentioned there was 3 parts of this presentation, and I've only completed 2. There is another part that I have not shared, but it's okay. For productivity for the creative industry. Maybe next time we can have another session just for that. So to all the students and those online who are watching, thank you for having me. I hope you've been able to take even just 10% of what I've just shared. I think I'm quite happy enough with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Dr. Sarina, any say something?
Tak apa, terima kasih banyak-banyak Encik Azlan for spending your good 2 hours today. Such a long session, but I'm sure all the students have taken or have good input in what they have listened today. Department will get back to you later on. Okay, terima kasih banyak-banyak Encik Azlan.
Terima kasih banyak. Assalamualaikum semua. Terima kasih.
Thank you Encik Azlan.